So hello and welcome everybody. I'm Lisa Katanak. I'm the Head of Learning in Homes England's Local Government Capacity Centre. I'm really delighted to welcome you to today's session, which is the first session in our winter learning programme. The learning programme, as many of you know who've attended before, offers a range of knowledge sharing topics, knowledge sharing on topics that you've told us you're interested in. So really pleased to bring this programme to you again for the sixth time. Whilst these sessions are designed for our local government partners, I know we have a range of partners on the call today, so just welcome everybody, and hopefully this is really useful knowledge for all of you in house building, placemaking and regeneration. If I could just move on to the next slide, please. So the Winter Learning Programme is brought to you by the Local Government Capacity Centre within Homes England. I'm a member of that team and really delighted to have brought this programme together for you. This slide just summarises who we are and the mission that we have to support our local government partners and others in building high quality homes and thriving places. And if I could just move on to the next slide, please. So this is just a summary of some of the things on offer from the Local Government Capacity Centre. These biannual learning programmes in both the summer and the winter. So kicking off a 2-week programme today of learning programmes, and 3 other tools that we've launched over the last 6 months, which you're going to hear more about today. Our Housing Information Hub, our new homes fact sheets, and a capacity analysis tool, which is able to use as a self-service tool. I'm not going to say any more about those because that's what we've got our expert presenters here to talk about. And if I could just move on to the next slide. Just to give you a quick overview of the agenda for today. So I'll quickly hand over to Cadence in a few minutes, who'll be able to talk to you about the work they did to pull together the Housing Information Hub and the Capacity Analysis tool. We've also got colleagues here from WSP to talk about the new homes fact sheets, and Chris Wilkinson from our own research and analysis team to talk about some regeneration case studies and a bit of a preview of those that are going to be published shortly. We've then got a Q&A with all of our presenters, both Ellie and Andy from Cadence, and Graham will be joining Maxine from WSP along with Chris to answer any questions that you've brought up throughout the session. And then we'll just have some final take-home messages before we close the session. So without any further ado, if we can move on to the next slide, and I will hand over to our presenters, Ellie and Andrew.
Thank you very, very much. So good afternoon, everyone. It's really lovely to be here today to talk through some of the tools that we've developed alongside Homes England. So as Lisa has already mentioned, my name is Ellie DeRoy and I'm a senior consultant with Cadence Innova, and I'm joined by my colleague today, Andrew Don. So Andrew, I'll let you introduce yourself.
And thanks, Ellie. So hi, everyone. I'm Andrew Don, subject matter expert at Cadence Innova. I'm actually a chartered surveyor by profession and have been helping local authorities for many years with this kind of product.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Andrew. So just before we start looking at the tools, if we can go to the next slide, please. Perfect. Thank you so much. Oh, if we can go back just one more, sorry. So just before we actually dive into those tools, just wanted to give you a little bit of background about Cadence Innova. So we are a management consultancy that work with central and local government, rail and road, and suppliers to government. As the go-to SME for public services transformation who discover, design and deliver positive change, we firmly believe in a work with not do to approach. So these tools were very much developed collaboratively with Homes England. Our mission is to inspire and enable our customers to deliver services that make people's lives better, communities more connected and enterprises more sustainable. So with that in mind, we can dive into some of those products that we've developed with Homes England that will be of interest to you, but can also support you. So if we can go to the next slide then, please. Perfect. Thank you so much. So we'll start with the Housing Information Hub. Some of you may have already seen it on gov.uk and some may already be using it. But for those that haven't, Homes England had a significant amount of information that could be useful, but the information was spread out across multiple platforms. And from experience, we know how busy you all are. So therefore, the hub was developed with the intention to save you time, but also to make it easier to find the most relevant information. So as you can see here on the screen, the hub signposts local authorities and other housing providers to guidance and tools relating to home building, placemaking and regeneration. Throughout the development of the hub, we conducted numerous rounds of user research, prototype testing and quality assurance to keep the users at the heart and to ensure that those user needs were met and it was as user-friendly as possible. If we can go to the next slide, please. Thank you so much. So this slide just shows a high-level breakdown of the topics and the subtopics available on the Housing Information Hub. Appreciate it's quite small, so don't worry, we will be showing this when we do a demonstration as well very shortly. All content and information falls under 5 main topics, which are shortened here to build, finance, lead, plan and land. And these stemmed from the findings of original user research sessions conducted by Homes England. And then we updated these as and when new content was identified and as the user research progressed, just to ensure that the topics were still relevant. So I'll now pass over to Andrew to walk you through how we determined the content for the hub. If we can go to the next slide, please.
Okay, so we started by imagining ourselves sat as a leader or a senior member of these varying different departments or roles in a house building organisation. We wanted to get into the minds of these people. So for each of the 5 main topics, we asked ourselves, what would they want to know or ask? What will they need to support them to build new homes? We generated a long list of these needs on a spreadsheet, several hundred in fact, and it was split by topic and then by subtopic. We were very conscious that local authorities and partners are extremely busy, so we wanted to keep the number of long, lengthy documents to a minimum wherever possible. Homes England provided 800 links, made up of 44 from their original best practice toolkit and 694 from the whole of the Homes England section on gov.uk. And then there were a further something like 60 resources provided by some of the internal staff at Homes England. We reviewed each and every one to ensure they were relevant, up to date and could be shared externally, meaningful and practical, usable and not information overload. And then we gauged what level the information was aimed at. So for example, is it easy to understand for a more novice user, or is it very technical and therefore more for an expert, or is it somewhere in between? If a resource answered one of those user needs and ticked all the review boxes, we added it to the hub. Once all the existing resources have been reviewed and allocated where appropriate, we scoured the internet to find something that could fill all the other gaps from either gov.uk or external resources. In some cases, there are multiple resources on the same topic. This is because they will resonate with different audiences, i.e. they are more for a novice level or those that are a more expert level. Would you like to, next page, please. Pass back to you, Ellie.
Thank you so much. Perfect. Brilliant. So I think we'll be moving away from the slides for just a moment so that we can actually demonstrate to you all how to use and navigate to the Housing Information Hub. So the quickest and easiest way, as I'm sure we're all well versed with Google, would be just to do a quick Google search of the Housing Information Hub. And as you can see here on the screen, it's the top result. So if we select that, going forward, you can always bookmark this page to make it easier to navigate to. So once you land here, as you can see on the screen, if we just scroll ever so slightly down, we've got the title of the page, and then it goes into more information below with the bullet points. So as Andrew and I have talked through, those bullet points are the topics that we ran through in that sort of wheel view that I've previously shown. And then next to that, where there's the paragraph of text, those are the subtopics. So realistically, if there's something that you're looking for in particular, you should be able to just scan this and identify which area you need to select and dive deeper into. So for this example, let's say I'm interested in understanding the funding available to me. So I will head to the financing section of the hub. And it will take me to the whole page with all of the documentation, guidance and information relating to financing. As you can see here, we've got a whole section of content. So this is again relating to those subtopics. So for the purpose of this, we can quickly select the funding section and it will just take us directly to that section on the page. So now here you can see that there's sort of 2 sections within this subtopic. So the links at the top that are sort of embedded in the paragraphs of text are all to external sites. And then the links below that are in more of a tabular format are the gov.uk links. So for the purpose of this, if we select the one that seems to already be highlighted, so Brownfield Infrastructure and Land Fund, you can see how that would navigate you to where you need to be. So then I could go ahead and read through all of this, and if it's got all the information I need, then I don't need to progress any further and scour the hub anymore. Alternatively, we can go back just by pressing our top site navigation. So if we press the back button to head back to the Housing Information Hub itself, we'll come back to the Housing Information Hub finance page. There's a little banner at the bottom, if you can see in grey, that said to go back to the contents page, and that would have just taken us back to the top of the page. And then there's the link here that says return to the Housing Information Hub. So that will take us back to the home page. Brilliant. So if we scroll down, we can again see the different topics that are available. So we can head to, for example, let's have a look at, I'm interested in land acquisition. So if we select using land for home building and regeneration, and again, go to the contents page and select land acquisition, it will take us again down to the relevant section. And you'll notice that this is in exactly the same format, and we've deliberately followed this same pattern so that it's consistent across the board and we can always easily navigate to where we need to go. There's lots of information to take in with this, so please do have a little Google, find the Housing Information Hub and have a look around yourself. If we can go back to the slides, please. Perfect, thank you. And so now we can move straight on to the capacity analysis tool. And if we can go to the next slide, please. So just following on from the Housing Information Hub, which provides lots of guidance and resources to support local authorities, user research evidence that there was still a demand for something just to help identify gaps and in knowledge, essentially, and then to find ways and support to fill those gaps. Therefore, the capacity analysis tool was developed. It's a free tool. It's in the format of an Excel spreadsheet, and this was agreed to be the best format as it's widely used by organisations already, and it was also evidenced in the user research to be the best route. So this can be downloaded, but for external organisations to complete, and it has been designed to help identify organisational skills and capacity in relation to housing delivery and regeneration. But it also identifies steps to help improve this capacity and also details tailored guidance for organisations to follow. You can access the tool from the homepage of the Housing Information Hub, so we'll show you that again in a moment. And completing it can offer several benefits to local government and other partners. As you can see here on the screen, it can provide valuable insights into organisations' strengths and weaknesses. It can help identify gaps and enables organisations to allocate resource more effectively. Enables users to anticipate potential challenges and enhance the likelihood of successful project delivery. Helps in setting realistic project timelines, milestones and goals. Promotes organisational accountability and encourages teams to take ownership of roles in delivery. And finally, facilitates better communication across the organisation, enabling teams to align their efforts and work cohesively towards project success. So I will now pass over to Andrew to walk through how we developed the tool and identified the relevant themes for it. Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks. So what you're seeing here is the sort of back-end structure of how this tool works. To help a local authority identify what it needs to change to improve capacity, they need to understand their maturity of their organisation and where it wants to get to. It also needs to identify its capabilities, its process and organisation, or any technology that is not supporting that aim of where they want to get to. So as Ellie has said, this is fundamentally an Excel tool. It can be downloaded and completed offline and is done strictly in confidence. We developed a series of questions and statements around themes. Essentially, these are relevant technical areas. These were identified through experience of working with local authorities and other home building organisations, as well as research with potential users. These will best inform an assessment of delivery readiness. So as you can see on the left-hand side, we have 18 themes, and they've been split via two different lenses. The corporate lens, this is looking at it identifies and understands the local authority's capability and capacity for delivering delivering the principles of maturity assessment. It considers the culture of the organisation and the ability to enable and support development and delivery. The project lens then looks at the key delivery functions directly involved in house building and regeneration. So it gives an understanding of the property-led opportunities and projects. Now, there are 4 stages of development from stage 1, which is organisations that are keen to deliver homes but have little capacity or skill or experience, or level 4, where they are highly experienced and an effective organisation and perhaps already delivering some or all of their homes. Pass back to you, Ellie.
Thank you very much. And if we can go to the next slide, please. Perfect. Thanks. So just before I do the demonstration, excuse me, sorry. Before I do the demonstration of the capacity analysis tool, it's just really important to note that this tool is not linked to any funding regime. Completion is not linked to any funding opportunities. It's for internal use for the organisation only. It is not intended to be returned to Homes England, and it's not monitored. So rest assured, you can complete this as honest and truthfully as you would like within your organisation. So we'll now access the capacity analysis tool, and as I previously mentioned, you can get to it via the Housing Information Hub homepage. So if we head back to the homepage and scroll to the bottom of the page, there you go. You can see straight away the second sort of section has the link to the capacity analysis tool with a brief description. If we select that, perfect, thank you so much. And if we scroll ever so slightly down as well, to access the tool itself, you would select the top one. If you need a more accessible version, that is the second HTML copy. But for the purpose of this, we will show you in the Excel spreadsheet format. And I believe we have one that we've prepared for you earlier. So we'll bring that one up and perfect. Thank you so much. So this is the capacity analysis tool. This first tab essentially just goes into detail around the purpose of the tool, the benefits which we've already run through with you today, the structure, and then a full list of essentially instructions of how to populate and use the tool effectively. If we go to the first user tab, please. Perfect, thank you. So this is where you would start to input the information for the tool. So you can complete this as an individual or as a team, and you can change your name in the top box there. Appreciate, again, this might be quite small, so do go ahead and download the tool and investigate it further following on from today's session. But again, each of the tabs will have a bit of the instructions at the top, so you don't have to flick back through to the About This tool page and read the instructions from there. So it's optional for you to put your name in there or your team name. If you leave it blank, it will default to the user number of the tab that you're on. So in this case, it will say user 1 when we look at the results later down the line. So Andrew was talking there about the various different themes and levels. So as mentioned, if we select the box for theme, a drop down will appear and we will be able to select the theme that we'd like to look at. So we're currently on strategy and vision, and we can just select any of the other different themes, and that will hopefully, if we select anyone, we'll just, there you go, as you can see, it changes the levels. So the information then that is provided. So I would read through these as an individual or in my team, and I would select the level that I deem to be most appropriate for my organisation. If I'm not sure, or if I feel I'm in between levels, I would select the lower level. Alternatively, if I'm really, really unclear, then I can always select unknown. In order to do that, if we scroll just ever so slightly down the page, you can see this list that we've already pre-populated. But under, for example, we're now on organisation and leadership, we can go to that box and again, a drop down will appear and I can select the number that I feel my organisation sits at. And there you can see as well, unknown is also an option. So that's the same across the board for all 10 of the user tabs at the bottom of the screen. If say I've completed it and Andrew has completed it and some others in my organisation have completed it, we can head straight to the results tab to view what our results look like. There we go. Perfect. So again, at the top, you can see some instructions on how to use this, but you can also see that it's automatically populated this radar chart. And this really just shows you the difference between the highest score that was scored per question, the lowest score, and also the average. You can also see that in the tabular format to the right hand side and identify where there's a gap. So for example, if there's quite a difference, say we've scored a 1, level 1 on one of the themes, and a level 4 on the other, we can see the gap would be 3, and then potentially that's something that we would want to address initially and have those relevant conversations. At the bottom, it just summarises all of the scores that have been populated. So we have previously just put 2 users' information in there, as you can see below, so you can easily compare in sort of 3 different ways on this tab. If we go to the Interpreting Your Results tab, please. Perfect, thank you. So essentially everything I've just run through is summarised within this tab itself as well. So you can really read into this, understand exactly what the radar chart is telling you and next steps and what you can do going forward, following on from understanding your results. If we go to the next tab, please. So as I've mentioned when I was introducing the capacity analysis tool, it is also available to provide tangible actions and top tips. So where you've got a score, it will then give you sort of personalised, tailored actions and top tips for your organisation to follow. And these are automatically populated based on your average score. So as you can see here, you've got the different themes, the average score, the actions and top tips that I mentioned, and then next to it is also links, direct links to the Housing Information Hub as well, to give you some further information relating to that particular area. And if we go to the next tab, please. This is something that came up quite frequently in the user research that we were conducting, that people would like to be able to reuse the tool and do a comparison over time. So say Andrew and I have populated this, and then 6 months down the line, we'd like to see, following the tailored actions and top tips, how we've improved. So we have, again, pre-populated this for the interest of time, but you could input your previous score. So do make sure whenever you download this, save the version that you're using so that you can revisit in 6 months, a year's time, however frequently you would like to revisit it. You can paste in your previous score on the left-hand column in the white column. Your current existing score will automatically populate and pull through. And again, you will see the difference. And then we have a nice another sort of radar chart that just really highlights the difference. So in terms of your previous average score and your current. So the grey is the previous average score and the green shows your current. So you can see how you're progressing. That's the capacity analysis tool. So I think we can head back to the slides themselves. Thank you very much. And that's it from myself and Andrew. Thank you all so much. I believe I'll be passing to you, Maxine. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellie. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Maxine Kennedy, and I'm an associate economist at WSP, and I'm very pleased to be here today to introduce you to the New Homes Fact Sheets. I will explain what the New Homes Fact Sheets are, how we developed them, how you might find them useful, and then I'll do a quick demonstration to show you where you can find them. They're on gov.uk, and we'll look at 2 fact sheets in more detail. Next slide, please. Thank you. So what are the New Homes Fact Sheets? The New Homes Fact Sheets is a series, a collection of 10 fact sheets. They have been developed as a new resource created for local government to support conversations with their local communities. The fact sheets aim to help officers and members when needing to quickly and robustly address common themes related to new homes, placemaking and regeneration at the local level. We do hope, however, that they will have a broader use across the wider industry, as they provide a fact-based resource for everyone to draw upon to effectively communicate the context and the processes around new homes and regeneration. I'll touch upon some of the benefits and key features. So the fact sheets, the project itself for the New Homes Fact Sheets itself was identified as a need during a previous project which we at WSP worked on with Homes England Local Government Capacity Centre. We spoke with local authorities and industry experts across the country, and the idea for the fact sheets themselves as a useful resource was really born out of those conversations. So we're very pleased to work on this and take it forward. Second, they are evidence-based. The fact sheets include facts and data. The majority of these data resources have come from government, particularly DLUC and ONS. We've also embedded hyperlinks into the fact sheets, which are really useful if you're reading online, which we expect most instances people will be. We recognise that the topics they're quite complex, and people can be coming to these fact sheets with different levels of information. So we have aim to provide a succinct overview. Each fact sheet is 2 pages, but the hyperlinks are there to enable readers to go and find more information if they would like to know more about a particular topic area. Another key benefit of the fact sheets is that they are at this national level, so they have nationwide relevance. They should be useful in all different types of circumstances, but then they do have hyperlinks which can signpost users to data sources which can show local level trends. So we hope that they can pitch both at the national and the local level. Next slide, please. Thank you. So how did we go about developing the fact sheets? So the development of the fact sheets has been informed by lots of consultation with the local government officers, house builders, community groups and industry experts. All of these conversations help to create the fact sheets, both in terms of the 10 topics, the 10 fact sheets themselves, but also the content within them. And the consultation was also useful in understanding the range of circumstances in which the fact sheets might be useful. For example, as a resource to prepare for events or meetings about planning applications and housing development in an area, or when engaging with local community groups and interested parties as part of developing a local plan, or finally, perhaps as an information resource just to signpost people for more information if they're interested in a particular topic area. Next slide, please. Thank you. So on screen now is the full list of the 10 fact sheets. I'll quickly run through the list of the 10 and then we'll demonstrate 2 of them to go in a bit more detail. So the first fact sheet number 1, the need for homes. This is sort of trying to set the scene about why do we need new homes, and I will do a demonstration of this one in a few minutes. Fact sheet 2, how new homes are planned. This provides an overview of the planning process, which is very complex, but it tries to be in simple terms, the planning process, and bearing in mind the intended audience is local communities. So we explain when and how local communities can get involved in the planning process at the local level. The next 3 fact sheets, so fact sheet number 3, which is new homes and transport infrastructure and services, fact sheet 4, new homes and healthcare facilities, and fact sheet 5, new homes and school places. These 3 fact sheets look at the main topics of focus for local communities. I will demonstrate fact sheet 5 in a minute, so I'll go into that one in a bit more detail as well. These 3 topics, through consultation, we identified that these were the 3 topics that where there's a lot of queries and comments from members of the public. So this is why we've got a dedicated fact sheet for each of these topic areas. The next fact sheets play a bit of a role of both presenting facts, but also an overview of the process as well. So fact sheet number 6, the role of design and placemaking in new homes and communities. This one is recognising this is an area where there's a lot of momentum. Design and placemaking is, placemaking, not a lot of people understand what that term might mean, but we know design is a hot topic and there's new regulations coming forward, and particularly around how communities can get involved in that at the local level. So this fact sheet aims to explain what that is and how communities get involved. Fact sheet 7, homes in different land types, brownfield, greenfield and green belt. This one is a bit more of an explainer to help people understand what these different terms mean and what we mean by different types of land, and when and where we might build new homes on different types of land across the country. Fact sheet 8, the economic, social and environmental benefits of new homes, looks at the type of benefits of new homes, so how new homes has this kind of wider influence on a local economy, such as supporting jobs, or we'd look at how new homes produce fewer carbon emissions than older homes and how these standards of building regulations are helping to support our net zero goals. Fact sheet 9, what is affordable housing? This fact sheet unpacks some of the terminology around affordable housing. And lastly, fact sheet 10, new homes in rural areas. This is a particular focus on how these issues may play out in rural areas, such as we have maybe an ageing population, areas where there's a smaller working age population, and how that can affect demand for homes. Okay, brilliant. Next slide, please. Okay, lovely. So I'm going to demonstrate 2 of the fact sheets, fact sheet number 1 and 5. Okay, so here is the website. So again, if you like, as Ellie suggested, if you just do a quick Google of New Homes fact sheets, it should come out number 1 on the search result, which is great. So you should be able to find the webpage quite easily. You can also bookmark it for future reference. I think also on the government website here, just there, it says get emails about this page. You can also sign up to get emails and alerts if this website gets changed or updated. Okay, if we go on to fact sheet 1 then, please. Okay, great. So I'll just very quickly just run through what this fact sheet is all about. I will also just run through a couple of examples of the hyperlinks that I mentioned to show you how users may interact with the fact sheets and find out a bit more information if they're interested. Okay, so fact sheet number 1, the need for homes. So the first section here, we demonstrate the housing need and the government's target for 300,000 homes per year. And we said this is, the national target, but we explain here how local plans and local housing need assessments are undertaken at the local level and the local authorities' role in that to inform local housing targets. Here in the box here, we have a hyperlink, which is actually a really good resource. If we just go into this one, this is published by DLUC. It's the Housing Statistics Dashboard. Let's wait for this to load. But this is an example of how the fact sheet has this national focus, but then if people are interested, they can click on this hyperlink and they could look at their particular local authority and see, in this case, how many houses are being built in their local authority. So if we just take an example, local authority, thank you, Ellen. Barking and Dagenham. Great, and it will just repopulate and the data will come up there. It's a really good tool. There's quite a few of these that have been published by DLUC over the past couple of years, these kind of dashboards, and they're really, really helpful at kind of breaking down the data, making it a bit more accessible for public audience. That's a really good resource. Thank you, Ellen. If we just go back to the fact sheet. Okay, lovely. The second section discusses the drivers of new homes, so including population growth, increased life expectancies and changing lifestyles. For example, we have smaller households now than previously. So we've got a second hyperlink here as an example. If we go to population growth and we click on there where it says 2021 census, lovely, thank you, Ellen. And this just comes up. This is just to demonstrate what the source is here, and people can download this data and investigate more if they're interested. Thank you. Okay, the second section of this fact sheet presents data on how many new homes have been delivered across England. The third section looks at some of the consequences of constrained housing supply, such as increasing unaffordability. The next section at the bottom of the page asks where are new homes needed. We explain obviously that housing need really does vary across the country, but urban areas are often under the greatest pressure for new homes. Okay, that's a quick overview of that fact sheet. If we just go back to the collection page and we go into fact sheet 5, this is a different example. So as I mentioned before, this topic came up in the consultation as one of the key areas where local communities have questions and comments around what's the impact of new homes on school places and what's that relationship. So here we're trying to set out what is the consideration and what goes on really as well behind the scenes that local communities might not realise goes on to understand what that impact might be and how we calculate it. So the first section asks, if there are new homes, how many more children will there be? So we clearly state here that local authorities calculate what is known as the pupil yield according to local trends. For example, birth rates vary across the country, but we do include a really good resource here that's published by Department for Education, which is the National Pupil Yields. So if we click onto that one again, thank you. And if we click on the pupil yield dashboard at the left-hand side, this just demonstrates here the average pupil yield for different types of education, so early years, primary, secondary, as you can see on page. So we've got, for example, 100 homes. We can say on average how many pupils there might be residing in those homes. Thank you. If we just go back to the fact sheet. Okay. We also explain here that different types of homes will accommodate different numbers of children. For example, we know that flats tend to be home to fewer school-age children than the new build homes. The second section presents data on the average size of schools and how many pupils are accommodated in them. The next section looks at different factors that affect the demand for school places, such as changes in birth rates, patterns of migration, and how catchment areas change over time. Okay, and then the second page of this fact sheet looks, this aims to provide an overview of the process, the different steps that are involved in assessing the potential impact of new homes and how this is mitigated, and how this pupil place planning process works in the short and medium term. Okay, thank you. If we just flip back to the collection page, I'll just also quickly flash up on screen here the guidance note that sits with the collection. This is also useful just to provide a bit more background around the data and the use of data and how to extract information from the fact sheet. So please do also take a look at the guidance note, which I hope you find useful. And that's it from me, and we'll do Q&A. I've seen some questions popping in, so we'll do some Q&A in a second, and I'll hand over to Chris Wilkinson. Thank you.
Thank you, Maxine. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chris Wilkinson, Head of Research and Analysis at Homes England. I've just got a couple of very quick slides to take you through some research that we've been doing around regeneration best practice. The best practice research hasn't been published yet, but it will be soon. So it's one to keep an eye out for. If we just go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So as many of you will know, regeneration is a major feature of our new strategic plan that was launched last year. So we've been doing some research to make sure that we have all the learnings from previous regeneration initiatives. We bring all of that together and we share that with the sector to help us all deliver the best regeneration schemes we can. So this piece of research is based on a series of case studies, and we've gone broad with how we've done that. So they're not, we're not just talking flagship big city centre regeneration schemes. These are all sorts of different schemes, and the benefits at the bottom of there, just to draw these out, are by taking a look at all of the different types of regeneration schemes. What we're trying to do there is share learning that's applicable in different situations. So whether you're looking at a regeneration scheme in a city centre or in a suburb or town centre, varied geographies, varied challenges that you might be facing, and how those were addressed through these best practice examples, and the differing roles of the public sector in those regeneration schemes as well. That last one there about not being alone is key. Of course, regeneration is difficult, often face substantial challenges to delivery. It was ever thus. So actually, we can learn from how people have delivered regeneration elsewhere successfully, to help us to address the challenges that we face, and deliver successful regeneration schemes ourselves. So that's the idea behind the work, and we'll be publishing it soon, as I say. I'll just go into a bit more detail on what it actually is on the next slide, please. Thank you. So we've got over 40 case studies that we've completed, a mix of UK and international, a mix also of schemes that have had some involvement Homes England, and many more that haven't had Homes England involvement, just to really get that breadth of schemes as well, and also particularly with the international ones, a sense of how things might have been done differently elsewhere and what we can learn from those examples as well. The research was a mixed methods approach, so it isn't just hard data, or it isn't just what people have told us. It's actually a mix of all of those. So a series of consultations, analysing the data, looking at all the documents and literature that's out there on these schemes. But critically as well, all of them have delivered at least some homes to date. So they don't have to be just residential schemes, but often they'll be mixed use with a residential component. They've all delivered at least some to date. So they are schemes that have delivered. So this isn't just based on what we hope to achieve with a regeneration scheme. This is genuinely about, we've had boots on the ground and this is what we've achieved, and therefore this is what we can learn from looking at those examples. Some are complete, some are ongoing, but they've all delivered at least something. And as I mentioned on the previous slide as well, the mix there as well. So we're keen to get a real mix of schemes here, just to make sure that we're pulling out lessons from the breadth of what regeneration can be. So some of them are major city centre schemes, some of them will be secondary cities and towns, some will be suburban, different differences of geographies. Some are big schemes, some are small schemes. Also, the uses might be different, as I say, might be mixed use, there might be residential only, there might be all sorts of other different uses, cultural components and other uses as well. But also a varying role for the public sector. There isn't just one role that the public sector can play in regeneration. And in the case studies, we've looked at how that varies, and again, what we can learn from that variety of role that the public sector plays in these schemes. If we just go on to the next slide then, please. And there's four key themes that we pulled out through the research. As I say, the publication isn't quite ready yet, so we'll see where we end up here. But these are the four that we have at the moment. First of all, around the role of the public sector in the visioning, planning and master planning of regeneration schemes, helping to shape what this proposition is with the regeneration scheme, and the importance of doing that work at the outset to make sure that we deliver on our ambitions. The second one there around the public sector role and partnership working, as I said on the previous slide, the public sector can play a varied role, or indeed roles, within regeneration schemes. So this sort of looks at where different roles have worked in different situations as well. Often, indeed, pretty much always in partnership. No one body typically delivers regeneration on its own. Invariably, there are multiple challenges to address, and working in partnership with other public and private sector stakeholders is key. The third one that theme around management and curation of place and supporting local needs. This is about how, as we develop regeneration schemes, how to make sure that they are to the betterment and for the benefit of the pre-existing communities, the wider community, and making sure that the scheme isn't something that's just been plonked in the middle of this place, but is actually within a broader placemaking effort. And then finally, that theme around differentiators. So often successful regeneration schemes, particularly the bigger ones, I would suggest, have some sort of differentiator. So that can be anything from a new cultural facility, something sports related, university related, any of these different things, or it could be something of architectural merit that really puts a stamp on the place. A range of different things can be captured under there, but this sense that that there is often a differentiator, often also playing on the local history and identity of the place. So the research pulls out all of these different themes. And the idea is that there'll be a report that we'll publish that will bring out all of those lessons. We're trying to keep it brief and concise, so that any one of you involved in regeneration schemes, particularly if you're less familiar with the delivery of regeneration schemes, you can pick this up. It's a pretty quick read, and you can get almost a bit of a regeneration 101 of how to do regeneration. So watch this space, hopefully coming out within the next couple of months. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And thank you to all our presenters. So we've got plenty of time now for a bit of a Q&A, and I can see that we've got some great questions that have come in the chat already. Could I ask all the presenters to turn on their cameras and microphones? And I say we've got Ellie and Andrew back there alongside Chris, and Jim also from WSP joining us, as well as Maxine, who's also worked on the development of the fact sheets alongside Maxine. So thank you all for joining us for the Q&A. I think the first question that's come up is probably one more for me as a member of the Local Government Capacity Centre, but it was around how often both the Housing Information Hub and the fact sheets will be updated, and whether there was the ability to get alerts to see when they've been updated. So just to reassure people that yes, absolutely, having invested so much time and effort in pulling these tools together, which I hope you will all agree are really useful, and we will definitely have a programme within our team of making sure they're reviewed on a regular basis. So all of the content will be reviewed regularly, and sort of just to check that it's still relevant to be included, but also obviously there's that process of making sure new things are added when they come up. So absolutely, that is something that we'll be looking at within the team in terms of how we resource that and how we make sure that is done on a rolling basis. I think Maxine covered briefly as well that gov.uk does obviously have that facility to show you when a page has been updated. So there's that alert system there within gov.uk to show you when new content has been added to any of the pages. So that was that question. The next one I think was one for Ellie on the capacity analysis tool. So there was a question around whether there was written guidance available so people could share this with other colleagues.
Yeah, absolutely. So as mentioned in the demonstration, there is full detailed guidance actually built within the capacity analysis tool itself in the Excel spreadsheet. However, I very, very briefly also, when we brought up the capacity analysis tool via the Housing Information Hub, there is an HTML version as well, which has all written guidance as well as a more accessible version to utilise within that. So written guidance available in twofold. One, if you just want it complete text, that is on the HTML version. So it's already available via the Housing Information Hub.
Brilliant, thank you. That's great, Ellie. Whilst we're on the capacity analysis tool, just to jump ahead to another question, which Andrew, could you pick this one up around what indicates a strong confidence level?
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. So a level 3 would be an organisation where everything is defined and managed, performance is good. So in respect of housing delivery, if that was the question, if you are building houses and it's repeatable, that's great. That will probably be a level 3. If that continues and you have KPIs, you have scoreboards, and it is very consistent and continued delivery, then you might be a level 4. But most authorities are likely to be a level 3 if they are strong deliverers.
Brilliant, that's great. That's great, thank you. Again, a couple of questions around the fact sheets and whether or not people could link to these from their own websites or put them. Absolutely, more than happy for people to link directly to the fact sheet page from their own websites. I would suggest that's the best option rather than putting them onto your websites, because obviously then you'll get the automatic updates when anything is updated. So they're there as a resource for all local authorities to use, and that's why that second bit of the question around whether people could add their own contact details and things into the fact sheet. Obviously, they're not intended to replace council's own publications or any community engagement or publications that council are doing themselves. So there's not necessarily the ability to add your own contact details into these fact sheets because they're there as a resource for everyone. But absolutely, if people want to link through to them from individual web pages, that's not a problem at all. I think you've answered in the chat, Maxine, and there was a question around specifically around fact sheet 9 and whether that included some data. But yes, that is included, I believe.
Yes, the fact sheet 9, there's a pie chart there on the first page, which presents the data on the number of affordable homes delivered per different type of category. So first homes is included there, but the point on how planning obligations are spent didn't come up in consultation. We hadn't included that point, but it is a good point, and potentially we will add that in if we could squeeze it in. There's a lot on there in another review. Thank you.
Brilliant. But yeah, just to reassure people that first homes are included in the pie chart on that one on fact sheet 9. So thank you for that question. I can see there's a question around community-led housing. Is that one that anyone is able to comment on? Is there any information in there on community-led housing?
I think it's worth taking a look through the Housing Information Hub. I think there will be some useful information that can contribute to that because we're very aware of the numerous issues that local authorities do face. So completely appreciate the thought behind that question. So yeah, please do take a look on the Housing Information Hub just to double check to see if there is anything around that.
Yeah. And again, a question, I think a couple of questions more for Homes England there around whether we directly fund anything that doesn't involve new housing. And obviously that's very much linked to the individual funds and things that we offer. So most of our funds at the moment do link potentially to include housing, but obviously there's potential for more funds to be launched in the future. So it's just a question of what the remit is of the individual funds. Good question there around whether we'd be providing links to the tools. Hopefully, as you've seen from the demonstration today, it's really easy to find them all via just Googling. But yes, absolutely, there will be links to all of these tools included in the slide deck that comes out after today's session, and also obviously the research that Chris has previewed today that's not yet available. We will make sure that we do message everybody that's registered for this session afterwards as well to make sure that we provide a link to that when it does become available. Are there any more questions in the chat that we haven't got to? I'm just asking for my colleagues to let me know if there are any more questions. If not, I think we will.
I can see one around the is the capacity analysis tool only for use on big projects? So can take that very quickly.
Oh,
you can use it for any level
yeah.
of project. It is absolutely there for use as often as you need to, big, large, whatever the size.
Can I jump on the back of that as well, Lisa? The capacity analysis tool was designed to be used in a number of different ways. Perhaps we didn't explain it that clearly, but it could be used either individually, so people can download it themselves and fill it in. It could be done as a team in a plenary session, so you could have it on a screen and collectively as a team give a team response, or people could download it, handwrite it and submit it anonymously to a central person who could then collect the information. That's if people were worried that, one team is going to be blaming another because legal aren't doing their job and therefore there's a problem. So it's a really effective tool which we think can be used in so many different ways, and we hope people will use it and enjoy using it.
Brilliant, thank you.
Lisa, I can come in on
say question there for you, Chris, around the fact sheets. Yeah, for the interactive version, will it be able to? Yeah, absolutely, you're able to pick that question up. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah. So short answer is we haven't finished writing the report yet, which is why it hasn't been published. But we'll be looking to make that as usable as user friendly as possible to make sure that you can get to the bit that is most relevant to you. So we've done all of the research, so we've got all the research ready to go. It's just we're in the phase of packaging that together in a user friendly way. What we don't want is a report that goes to hundreds of pages, that it's very difficult for you to get to the bit that you need to get to. So watch this space on that, but we will be trying to make that as useful as possible and as easy to get to the bit that you want to get to once that's been published. But as I say, look out for that in the next couple of months for us to get that out.
Brilliant, brilliant. I can see that question has come up again around the written guidance on the capacity tool. So just to reassure people that, yeah, absolutely, the spreadsheet does include that guidance. So that's great. Thank you everyone for going through that. And in terms of any thoughts people have on the tools, any information that they do want to alert us to be added in future, there is always obviously the option of contacting the Capacity Centre as well. So we have a generic email address, which hopefully one of my colleagues will put in the chat for us, but it's cce@homesengland.gov.uk. And please do always use that email address to contact the Capacity Centre if you've got ideas on content that you think it should be added to the hub. We're always looking to build on the content that's in there. So if we can bring the slides back up, if there aren't any more questions, we will run through our closing messages and polls, and then give everybody a little bit of time back this afternoon. So thank you. This is just really a summary of what we've covered in today's session. So links there to all of the tools for you, as we mentioned. So please do use this slide to have a good look at the hub and the fact sheets and the capacity analysis tool, and use those as much as you want to support your work. Also a link there to recordings from our previous learning program sessions, and as we've said, these are our sessions that are running over the next 2 weeks, but have also run biannually for the last couple of years. So there's recordings there of the other resources that are available, and a number of those are also linked to through the hub itself. So next slide, please. And I will just close and say thank you very much, everybody, for your time today. Thank you to all our presenters, to Ellie, to Andrew, and to Maxine and Jim, and to Chris. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining today's session, and I hope to a lot of you be involved in our future sessions over the next 2 weeks. Thank you, everybody.